That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Seance, the directorial debut of Simon Barrett, better known as the screenwriter of You're Next and The Guest and Blair Witch, all for Adam Wingard, which Shudder and RLJE Entertainment are releasing May 21st, 2021.
Okay, this story was complicated because there's a lot going on.
Complicated and also very familiar.
And frustrating.
Sure.
Okay, there's a boarding school somewhere.
Fairfield Academy.
It appears like it's in New England, modern time.
It was filmed in Canada, but it's a U.S. production.
A girls' school.
Mm-hmm.
The film opens with a group of girls having a seance, and then like something scary happens, and the girls sort of scatter. But we find out that it was a prank. But one of the girls who scattered, Kerrie, we find that she has jumped out of the window and died.
It doesn't show her jumping.
Well, she has fallen from the window and died. Okay, then we move forward like a couple months, I think, or weeks.
Not that long.
It's like 2 months. So now, same school, same group of mean girls, and a new student shows up, played by Suki Waterhouse. Camille. And she's already off to a bad start with these mean girls because she's sitting at their lunch table. She doesn't want to move. They try to get her. They get into a fight. The headmistress, Miss Landry, played by
Marina Stevens Kerr,
who appears to be the only faculty member because she is everywhere.
I think you only see one other teacher.
And we don't even see her face. You just see her and hear her talking. But she punishes them by giving them detention in the library every day after school to digitize like some library books. And while they're down there, they learn about some student from like 1998 who died.
The Edelvine ghost. That is who they're conjuring in the first scene, a la like Candyman.
Yeah. So there's like this like urban legend about this girl who died back in the day, who's now haunting this school. So they decide to have another seance. And they think they have conjured that ghost, plus the girl, Kerrie, who fell out the window. Okay, after that happens, so now as the audience, we're thinking like there's some evil spirit haunting this boarding school. We start seeing some of those girls be killed. But they're killed by like a person in a mask. So it's not an evil spirit, it's like a serial killer killing them. Okay, to wrap this shit up, we find out that one of the girls, a redhead named Bethany,
played by Madisen Beaty,
she earned a scholarship by stealing an essay. So one essay got this girl $250,000. She stole the essay from Kerrie, the girl who's dead out the window. Bethany was afraid people would find out that she plagiarized or straight up stole this girl's work, that she decided to kill her. Okay, Ms. Landry, the headmistress, she has a son named Trevor. Okay, Trevor appears to like work at the school as like a handyman. He is in cahoots with the killing because Bethany thinks that if she doesn't kill the other girls who were friends with Kerrie, they're going to ultimately read the essay that won her $250,000 and tell on her, which will ruin her life. So she decides to kill all of them as well. And Trevor's helping her because they've been in love since she was 14.
Which, good luck finding friends that want to automatically read everything you write.
Right, okay. So that's the gag. There's another gag that Suki Waterhouse's character, Camille, I don't know, I should know that name because you have a good friend named Camille. She is only at the school because she was very good friends with Kerrie. And she knew that her friend would not have killed herself. So she faked all these documents to get enrolled into this school.
This prestigious elite school.
This prestigious school to find out what happened to her friend. That's basically it.
Yeah.
Okay. This movie was written by the person who wrote The Guest.
Simon Barrett.
And you know I like The Guest.
Yeah, Guest is good. And now that I think of it, this is very adjacent to The Guest, as in this Dan Stevens character is this interloper who's posing as someone that knew the dead son of that family. And the Suki Waterhouse character, I think, is very similar to that. Although it's revealed very late. It's confirmed very late. But the mistake, I think, there is... Because Suki Waterhouse is, what, 29?
Okay, yeah, in real life she's 29. And I like to say people look elderly, but she does look too old to be a high school student. But then I thought, okay, that could make sense, because if she's not really who she says she is, and she's coming to check on why her friend is dead, but then why is this grown-ass lady friends with, like, a high school girl? But then we find out there's another character with that awful hair.
Helina.
Who is kind of like the outcast who the mean girls pick on, but she's still part of the little group.
Played by Ella-Rae Smith. Mm-hmm.
She...
has lesbianic
tendencies. And then we don't see her and Suki Waterhouse's character being they're intimate but not sexual. But at the very end, when Suki says, like, I'm leaving, don't tell anyone, like, you make up something, but I'm out of here, they're not going to find me because I lied about who I was anyway. Then old girl's like, but what if I want to see you? And she says, I'll find you, and they start kissing. The end.
Mm-hmm. Which I'm kind of glad that they finally went there, because the whole time I'm thinking that there's this lesbian energy between them. But it opens all these weird doors, these unanswered questions that maybe make Seance more interesting than it is. Maybe it makes it messy. But the Waterhouse character, since her age isn't defined and she's clearly older, I wish they had played with that in the narrative. Because the whole time we're distracted by it.
Speaking of ages...
But I think that it opens the weird door about, so she was fucking around with minors.
Right. But speaking of ages, Trevor's made to be older than the girls. Like, he's an adult. So when... there's a scene where Bethany... Because there's like a showdown where she's trying to kill several of the remaining girls. And then she ties up two of them. And explains her full story.
That's the worst scene of the film to me. Like, I don't know if we even need all of that exposition, or there's a more graceful way to say that, because
there had to be a more graceful way to say it.
Or unless Simon Barrett's trying to really do this throwback thing to a tradition of kind of salty B-grade material where it's
very Scooby-Doo.
Like we don't need to say this. And I also really wanted Trevor to be kind of older than this actor and kind of goonish. Like, he's this that's been thwarted by his mother by forcing this ugly man to work at this girl's school, and then the weird perversion of, like, a young beautiful thing sleeping with him so he'll help her kill her classmates.
Because the scene where Bethany's explaining, like, all the things, and then Trevor's just standing there like an oaf, and then she says, well, he's helping me because we've been in love since I was 14. And then the girls go like, ugh. But then it's like, first of all, Trevor's like a handsome young man, and he looks younger than the girl who's supposed to be a high school student. So yes, I think even if they didn't do what you said, which would have been more interesting, at least they could have cast a man who looked inappropriately
I just wanted
older.
And they did need more staff members.
Because Miss Landry is everywhere. She's teaching a dance class. She's popping up in dorm rooms. She's catching every fight. Like,
and that ballet scene. I mean, this is clearly an homage to Suspiria and meets Mean Girls. The ringleader of the Mean Girls, Alice, played by Inanna Sarkis. She's a YouTube star, I guess. She had all of the finesse of Lola Ugfuglio Scumpy.
Yes.
The character from Big Mouth. Just...
Grating.
But I don't mind. She's supposed to be. There's a scene where somebody gets saved by being stabbed through Wuthering Heights, which I kind of like. Simon Barrett is actually... I find him to be an interesting writer and now filmmaker. I just wanted it to be a little tighter. But of course, it was reminding me of all kinds of movies. It's not terrible. It's better than some films about girls and boarding school girls, like Mary Herron's The Moth Diaries. I hated. I really didn't like the last Black Christmas remake. But still, it doesn't have the weirdness of, like, Bertrand Bonello's Zombie Child recently, or Lucky McKee's The Woods from 2002 or so.
Okay. The whole scholarship thing really bothered me. It kind of reminded me of that movie Miss Juneteenth, where all this girl has to do is, like, stand up in one gown and she'll win, like, a full 4-year scholarship to an HBCU. That's how this feels. Like, the entire premise of this story is that this girl stole one essay and got $250,000.
She was just going to recite Phenomenal Woman.
Oh, and Miss Juneteenth, yeah. And when this... Like, that alone is so distracting to me.
I agree, but it should have played more with that silliness. And I really wish we had known Suki Waterhouse was covert, I guess.
Well, we like to talk about what the better story would be. So you had the idea of like, yeah, what if her character came in and the audience, we know that she's there to find out what happened to her friend. Focus on her.
Her fried green tomatoes.
Or I thought, like, why not focus on Bethany, knowing that she stole the work of this other girl to get this scholarship, and then all the things she has to do to cover it up, right? But to make it like because then, the ghost story component, because we find out that immediately we're told that the initial seance and the scary thing that happens was a prank. Then the second seance where they think they've conjured up the old girl and the Kerrie girl, we find out was a prank later in the film. But then the final scene of the film, when Suki is kissing other old girl, she's waving at the ghost of Kerrie in the window. So then it's just
I think that's supposed to be like a psychological.
Sure, but I really don't like that. Like, because it's like, why introduce like these like supernatural elements, but then clearly there is a serial killer.
Sure.
Killing these girls. So they're not related. It's too many layers that just felt like a really cheap, like, everything cookie.
Sure. I don't mind a red herring or two. I think it just could have been this, an all girls boarding school is a hothouse of perversity anyway, and I just wish it had reflected that more.
But then the one girl, Kerrie, because then when the one girl goes missing, and then we find in her bed that written or painted in blood is like the symbol. And then after their research on Miss 1998 being killed, we see that she's wearing a necklace with the same symbol. I just feel like that little detail, once you realize what's happening, it just feels very cheap to me.
Yeah, I agree. But there are, like the girl named Lenora, which I believe is an Edgar Allan Poe reference. Suki Waterhouse.
Who I thought looked like Chelsea Handler mixed with E.T.
Suki you said that about Mrs. Landry.
Oh, that's right. See, me trying to be nasty and fucked it up.
I'm talking about Suki Waterhouse. Who I'm familiar with from Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which is, I think, no good. And The Bad Batch, which, by Anna Lily Amirpour. And to me, in The Bad Batch, I thought she was the least interesting character amongst a bunch of fabulously interesting characters like Jason Momoa and Yolanda Ross in that movie. For this, I was gravitating towards her quite a bit. I liked her energy on screen in this. She reminded me a little bit of some other bland white girls, but like Alison Lohman or Lily Collins. She's of that ilk, but I liked her vibe in this.
There's some dialogue like maybe being a ghost is confusing, or we conjured a ghost and it's killing us.
Yeah, there's some salty dialogue. You had brought up Nocturne as a reference in
Yes.
Cherry Falls.
Yeah.
It was shot by Kareem Hussein. There is a vibe to this movie. I also like the score by Sicker Man. There is a vibe. Kareem Hussein also lends Possessor, the Brandon Cronenberg film, as well as Random Acts of Violence with the Jay Baruchel film starring Jesse Williams that we also reviewed.
Oh, the comic book writer.
Obviously, I think a very talented cinematographer. I do like the look of it.
One note about the son, Trevor, we find out that he killed a girl when he was 12.
He killed the girl that's become the Edelvine ghost.
Yeah, the 1988 girl, and then made it look like a suicide. So I think, like you said, we needed more about him. Because he killed this girl and then took like a 10-year break. And then
Yeah.
Is that how that works?
He just needed this other crazy psychopath.
The only good scene to me was sort of when there's the showdown between the two killers and the two girls who they have captive, and they're fighting it out. And I thought Suki fighting Bethany,
Her physicality I thought was pretty good.
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
There's a scene where she climbs it was actually it looks really funny. She climbs up like a bookshelf, like a little, like that thing from Exorcist, like crawls up there and then knocks down like a lighting fixture, and then she decapitates her by pushing over.
No, she hits her on the head and knocks her out, but she decapitates her with one of those lights, those fluorescent.
Oh no, Trevor. She decapitates Trevor.
Yes.
By pushing. I thought that was well done.
I also like the first scene where the Mean Girls are trying to get her to move out of her seat, and she punches Alice.
Yes. It had a decent start.
It has some good scenes. I wanted it to have kind of felt a little more cohesive.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm rambling now.
Okay.
What would you give this film?
I'd give it 3 out of 5.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. There are enough good things about it to make it interesting. It does feel a little generic and derivative. I think 3 is fair.
I would give it 2 out of 5. I did not enjoy this movie.
Okay.
Anything else?
No.
Bye.
Bye.